Great to have you with us. Donald Trump gets more offside with the Republicans. A 4th of July fireworks stunt goes horribly wrong, and a new slim version of Oreos hits the market. US correspondent Kate Fisher joins me from Washington. Kate, great to have you with us. Let's talk Donald Trump. Obviously, there are those in the Republican Party that are trying to distance themselves from him and his comments.
There certainly are several of them coming out over the weekend, talked to by journalists on those Sunday morning political programmes, particularly the likes of Jeb Bush, who is in fact married to a Mexican, and he said that he was personally offended by what Donald Trump had said, but also the likes of Marco Rubio, Rick Perry and George Pataki, all saying that these comments were out of order and totally wrong. But he did have some support. Ted Cruz coming out to say that he welcomed Donald Trump bringing attention to this issue here in the United States. But most of them very much coming out against him. Yeah, and with Donald Trump, it's an example of no one is completely wrong, and so there is an air of truth in everything Donald Trump says. It's just the way he says it and the fact that he exaggerates so much. How is he polling? Because Trump was doing quite well in some areas, wasn't he? Yeah, he's doing incredibly well. He's right at the top, if not always at the top of the polls for the Republican Party at the moment, which is confusing a lot of people who see him almost as a joke figure in some quarters. And certainly the likes of Macy's and NBC, big US companies, have actually cut ties with him over this. But yes, many people think, well, many experts, kind of pollsters, think the reason he's doing so well is simply people know his name. And the Republican field is so crowded. You know, there's nearly 20 people now standing for the Republican nomination for president. So people kind of latch on to a name that they recognise, and that is Donald Trump at the moment.
Absolutely. It's a known phenomenon, isn't it? Recognition, name recognition. All right, let's go back to the 4th of July. Obviously, 4th of July, it's eating too much, it's alcohol, it's fireworks. And this one particular person, 22-year-old Devin Staples, decided that he could perform a trick with a firework.
Yeah, this is really horrible, actually. Yeah, he was partying in his backyard with friends and family, as many, many people across America did at the weekend. They were letting off fireworks. They were drinking. He apparently joked that he would put one on his head to set it off. His friends all said, no, don't be stupid, don't do it. But whether he did it, whether he did it by accident or whether he really thought that he could get away with this, we will never know, because he died instantly. His brother, who was a few feet away, said this is a quote, "There was no rushing him to hospital. There was no Devon left when I got there." So it sounds really horrendous, and you know, it's been all over the press here in the US this morning.
Imagine standing around when someone, I mean, it's just such a stupid thing to do, but I assume it was some kind of a rocket he was holding on to or something like that, was it, to incinerate?
Yeah, they describe it as a mortar firework, which is kind of like a tube, a sort of a drain pipe tube, which you then put the explosive in, and it has a wire that gets ignited. So I don't know whether he thought it would explode off his head or what, but
we can only hope that he was so paralytic at the time he didn't feel any pain. All right, finally, Oreos. Are they trying to make Oreos sophisticated?
They are. I think they think they're associated too much with kids and so on. They're trying to make them what they call a sophisticated snack for adults, essentially by just making them a little bit thinner and saving you 20 calories on each one. Yeah, this is their plan. It's worked in China, and they think it's going to help boost sales here in the US as well.
What do you make of it? Have you seen any of these new Oreos? We've got some pictures. We've had a look at some pictures of them, and they do look a bit sophisticated.
Oh, you have? Yeah, well, we won't get them here until next week, apparently. But yeah, I think they're trying to go for, I think it appeals more to women, people who think it might be less calorific, although 20 calories, when you look at it, isn't that much of a difference, is it? But certainly they had been losing money in their Chinese market, so they introduced them there last year, and they increased sales by $40 million. So they've decided it will be worth having a go here in America. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant
idea.
So
whether it will, I mean, they're kind of seen as a sort of children's party food, if you like, rather than something that grown-ups would serve with a cup of tea. But maybe that will change.
No, not anymore. Kate Fisher, a US correspondent, thank you very much for joining us. They would be ideal for Mr. Creosote, of course, because they are wafer thin. Wafer thin.
One more slice, Mr. Creosote.
One more. Oh, no. Off. That is a great. Actually, that sketch. What is it? Is it just called Mr. Creosote? No, what's it called?
Monty. I don't know.
Monty Python, Mr. Creosote.
If you just Google, if you haven't seen it, can there be anyone in the world that hasn't?
Meaning of life.
But but it is a sketch. Just Google Mr. Creosote, Monty Python, Mr. Creosote. It is a brilliant sketch, and those when he explodes. Oh, I've spoiled it. All right.